And our next guest is Shiva Kintali. Dr. Shiva, thanks for joining us today. He has been involved with blockchain blockchain research since 2012. You can believe that. He actually has a PhD in computer science from the university, or a master's in computer science from the USC. And today, he's going to be talking about the platform TrueShelf. So thanks for joining us today, Dr. Shiva.
Thank you. I also have a PhD from Georgia Tech. So hello, everybody. My name is Shiva Kintali, and I just moved from Princeton University. I was teaching there in the computer science department, mostly algorithms, complexity theory, and game theory. So today I'm going to talk about a very simple and a very disruptive application of blockchain. So let's start with the problem. So this problem is very familiar to most of us. So it seems that more than 25% of academic achievements are falsified when people apply for jobs or internships. And there are more than 300 unaccredited colleges, universities, and entities that are issuing fake certificates or fake degrees to people just in the United States. And this costs a lot of money to the employers and anybody who is trying to hire them for internships. And the cost is in billions of dollars worldwide. And the current way of doing this degree validation is very broken. So often it involves a middleman, and there is a high chance of corruption and high delays and very high cost to the employers. So I think on an average, an employer pays around $40 for a degree verification. And these intermediaries, they charge multiple times for the same verification. And I myself had some experiences in this area. So a decade ago, I was applying for a PhD after my master's at USC, and I applied to several universities. And one of the universities came back, and they said that we cannot accept your application because your transcript is laminated. So this is my transcript. It's a valid transcript that I got from my university and my undergraduate university, Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur, and they rejected my application just because it's laminated. So I went back and did some research on that. It seems there is lots of fraud in this transcripts area. So people make their own transcripts, and then they laminate it and apply for PhD or whatever they want to apply for. So the universities took a decision to just reject all these applications with laminated transcripts. So I ended up not going to that university, so their loss. So that's one experience that I had. And 5 years later, I was applying for internship to Yahoo Labs. And again, they wanted to do my background check. They gave me an offer, but their background check took almost 3 weeks. And they came back, and they verified almost all my credentials except one, because I worked at a startup, and the startup completely disappeared. So that's a problem. What if you worked at some company, and the company doesn't exist anymore? And those are only some problems about valid credentials. And on the other hand, we have this fraudulent degree problem, where you can go online and order any degree from any university you want, Harvard, Princeton, anything. And you can just get it for $99, and you get, and plus shipping, I guess, and you get it on the very next day. So I guess they misunderstood the term affordable college. So it's actually faster to get a fake degree than an actual degree after you graduate from a real university, right? So I ordered one, but I haven't brought it today, but I'll show it to you next time. And how many of you have seen this movie? So it's called Catch Me If You Can. It's based on a real-life person called Frank Abagnale Jr. He became a doctor, pilot, and a lawyer without any credentials. He created his own credentials. And it's based on a real-life story, as I said. So this problem is across all industries: technology, medical services, legal services, airlines, and even in the government sector. And I created a Google keyword to verify or to get alerts on fraudulent certificates. And I get alert almost every 2 weeks. And most of them are very high profile. And you probably heard about one of the most famous examples in tech industry, Yahoo CEO. He was fired in 2012 because he lied on his resume about his master's degree, I guess. So it's a global problem that's affecting many industries. So what's an ideal solution, right? So we need a solution that's tamper-proof. That means nobody can create their own certificates. And we want to create a platform that's interoperable. So it should be universally consistent across all universities so that the adoption is very easy, right? And then it should be very efficient. That means once you have the certificate with you, let's say digital certificate, you should be the owner of the digital certificate. And anywhere, if you're applying to Microsoft for a job, Microsoft should be able to verify your digital file without requiring any intermediary very efficiently. That means in maybe a couple of seconds, right? And ideally, we want something that's zero cost to the employees, employers, and almost zero development cost to the institutions. So that's an ideal solution. And blockchain provides that solution. So this is one of the most important questions of this era, actually. So why blockchains? As you probably heard, more than 50% of the companies that went ICO in the last 8 months, they only shut down. And they raised more than $500 billion together. So that's because most of those companies, they do not have a real use case of blockchain. But in our case, blockchain provides a very natural solution. It's very secure, so we can have a tamper-proof record of the degrees, and it's immutable. Nobody can unilaterally change the records. And it's decentralized, and it's permissionless, and most importantly, interoperable. Once we create the blockchain, it has a common API so that any university can join the network. So the solution, as I said, blockchain gives a very elegant solution, and it's a very simple solution where when a university issues a degree, along with the paper degree, they also create a digital version, and they store the hash of the degree on the blockchain. So they're only storing the hash, so it's very secure and private. And once it is stored, the learners carry their digital certificates. So let's say I went to USC, IIT Kharagpur, and Georgia Tech. So I carry these 3 text files with me. So whenever I'm applying for a job, I just give that certificate to the employer, and they can verify that without requiring any intermediate company. And in our case, we actually are creating a new blockchain. So why not use Bitcoin blockchain or Ethereum blockchain, right? So there were some companies that tried to address this problem, but on the Bitcoin blockchain and Ethereum blockchain. And one of the main problems that they faced is scalability. That's one of the biggest open problems of this decade, I guess. So because these platforms are not scalable currently, it's increasing the transaction fees on these platforms. So if you want to really disrupt this digital certificates area, you need something that's almost zero cost, right? Fraction of a dollar. So scalability is a big problem, so that's why we created a new blockchain. And also there are problems with governance and regulatory issues with Bitcoin. So every time there is some fluctuation in the price, people think that the platform is broken. And also institutions and students, they have a very natural incentive to run mining nodes of this new blockchain. And also we solved several other problems with the existing blockchains. We have our own scalability solution, and we made it very ASIC resistant. And we also made the implementation very simple and focused on digital certificates. And here is a graph of the recent surge in the Bitcoin transaction fees. So this is definitely not feasible for this application of digital certificates, right? So here are some advantages. So the learners control their data. So learners carry their digital credentials with them. They own their own certificates and any credential that they earn throughout their life. For example, if you took a course at Coursera or Udacity, again, you can carry those credentials with you. Or if you took a cooking class or a dancing class, again, you can get these credentials on the blockchain. So this is very important, learners controlling their own data, right? For example, my sister was applying for a teaching job in India, and one of the universities, they wanted to take her actual original certificate. essentially some of these universities, they take your original certificates, and essentially they're holding it as a hostage, right? So why do they need the original certificate? So you should be the owner of your own credentials. And most importantly, we'll also have this open and anonymous education data so that we can see what's happening in the education area and what type of lifelong learning credentials are working and what are not working, and we can improve the current system. And once we build the platform, we have even more applications. For example, work experience. As I mentioned, if you worked at a startup or any company, that particular company can give you the work experience that you started at a particular start date and you worked till particular end date, and they can record that on the blockchain. So even if the company disappears, you have this work experience with you. And real estate records and car titles. Again, these are records that are transferable from one person to another person. And also marriage certificates. Maybe in future, we can have some smart contracts, smart prenuptial contracts, right? And also proof of existence. For example, recently I was watching a movie, and in that one of the bad guys, he files a police report, but he bribes the police commissioner to backdate the police report so that he is ahead of his victim, right? So that's one use case that can be solved with our platform, where every police report that you file must be stored on the blockchain. So you have to store the hash of that on the blockchain so that you have a record, right? So if all the police department make that as a compulsory requirement, then we can eliminate this corruption. Almost every movie I watch, I get at least one use case of this thing. And then stock issuance, right? Backdating stocks is one of the common problems. If SEC requires that you have to have a hash of that on the blockchain, then we'll solve that problem, right? And we have our own blockchain, and the underlying currency is called Euler coin. How many of you heard about Euler? So that's Leonhard Euler, one of the most prolific mathematicians. There are more than 50 mathematical formulas, theorems, and equations named after him. So why not a cryptocurrency, right? So our coin is called Euler coin, and that's TrueCerts. So check it out, and if you have more questions, talk to me offline.